If Daystar did not classify themselves as a church, we wouldn't have as big of an issue with you having people sign NDAs. As a TV network, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Makes more sense. It still could be sus, but I'm sure ABC, NBC, CNN, there's some level of NDA that their personalities have to sign.
Yeah.
But y'all trying to play both sides. You classify yourself as a church when it is convenient, and then you classify yourself as a business when it's convenient. And and it's the double speak. It's you in the fact that you think people are not smart enough to read what you're doing.
I'm not gauging my life on their piece. I'm gauging my life on my piece. And even with all this chaotic, crazy stuff going on, especially with Rebecca, who has gone crazy, the Lord, in the middle of all of it, is just like this unbelievable peace.
How does someone stand up and do the right thing when they know that they're going to face great opposition when they do it?
I think the answer is that you have to have some kind of spiritual commitment, because the punishment and the disincentives for telling the truth are often overwhelming if you are just living in the material world.
People think it's their job to uncover leadership or try to deal with someone, and the truth of the matter is that God has placed them over you. You're under them. You're not above them. And if you try to come in and try to take them out, that's not honoring, and that's not how God's kingdom works.
To a younger leader serving an unworthy leader, I would say this: you always have the right to leave. You don't have to stay in and serve someone who's unworthy or involved in something. You sense something's happening here you shouldn't be part of. Leave. You just don't get to roll a hand grenade in the door as you go out. Serve like a Christian, leave like a Christian.
Silenced by the Lamb. Joni, that is. Welcome to people, man.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Level Up with Larry and Leo, where we turn trials and opportunities and dreams into reality. My name is Larry, and this is Leo, and we got more hush money from the Lambs.
Ooh-wee. This web weaved is crazy.
I mean, just when you thought that it couldn't get worse, it just keeps getting worse.
So now Rebecca and JW have your silence is deafening. We heard from Rachel. We know what Rachel got to say, and we know why she got to say. Well, we feel like we understand why she would be in an uproar because of what the streets are saying.
Yeah.
But Rebecca and JW are real quiet.
Why are
Let's
they
find
so
out why.
Why are they so quiet? Why are they so quiet? Let's see. Let's see why they're quiet.
Where's Rebecca and JW? But the girls, they each went to Daystar and they got big loans at probably incredible interest rates.
So my youngest daughter, Rebecca Weiss, and her husband, Jonathan Weiss, welcome.
JW, it's my understanding, wrote quite an impactful letter regarding his concerns.
He did. He read it to me, and it was just laying out everything that he had saw, just all the different details that really led to Pete being the one that was a perpetrator. And again, that just showed you how they were standing with us 100%. But unfortunately, they've signed the NDA and they've chosen the path of silence.
Rebecca Lamb and her husband, JW, have stayed completely silent in public ever since the scandal surrounding Daystar TV came to light. Daystar TV has a long history of using money and non-disclosure agreements to silence opposing voices. They work hard to control the narrative, making sure people can't speak out against them by tying them down with legal agreements. They've tried to do the same with Jonathan Lamb multiple times, attempting to trap him with NDAs and keep him quiet. But Jonathan has always been one step ahead, finding ways to avoid falling into their traps. Unfortunately, not all members of the Lamb family have been as fortunate. Some of them seem to have been silenced, unable to share their side of the story or speak out against the network.
I can tell you right now, and Jonathan, he's not going to mind, he did not get a loan to finance the purchase of his home. He went to a bank like everyone else. So he's not beholden to them, and at the same time, nobody's helping him. But the girls, they each went to Daystar and they got big loans at probably incredible interest rates. And they've got their homes. Jonathan, I asked him personally, when I was there with them the other night, why didn't you get a loan? He goes, I didn't feel that was right. Yeah, through Daystar. Why didn't you get a mortgage through Daystar? And he felt it wasn't right.
Yo, there's a lot to unpack.
Bro, okay. There's so much. All right. So what the streets are asking right now is, why is Rebecca and JW so quiet?
Polar opposites from both sisters. One sister is popping off. One sister is silent.
And there's a lot to uncover. Firstly, they say that JW and Rebecca, as employees of Daystar, have capitulated to the request of the board and signed that NDA that we've all either seen the audio of, or you watched one of our previous episodes and you saw how they tried to coerce Jonathan into signing that NDA. And we'll go deeper into that, showing how the NDA goes above and beyond trade secrets. We definitely want to give a shout out to all the other channels that are covering this. We're just simply reacting. We're not breaking news, but
Truth
it's two
and
brothers
Spirit
talking
Network
about what's in the
represent. They put it together. We're just reacting
in the YouTube streets right now. So, okay, Jonathan, as a man, I think that played a little bit into why he went and got a loan outside on his own, then run into mom and dad's company to get a loan.
I mean, let's stop right there. Daystar is a whole bank. You gotta be loaded. And we're gonna actually see, and there was something that this video doesn't cover that I picked up when we were watching. Daystar gave a $20 million loan to Gateway Church. That's the church that Robert Morris pastored. The one that got dismissed and all that. A $20 million loan. So it seems as if they use these loans to keep people from popping off and showing stuff.
So the combination of signing the NDA and
well, it seems. Do you think that the NDA is connected to the loan? So, like, if you take the loan out,
no. If you connected it, then that would be sloppy. If they connected it, I think that would be sloppy on their part. But the NDA is probably going to be part of your employment here, and then the loan is seemingly not connected, but it's connected in the background. Like, we could call your mortgage.
Mm-hmm. That's wild.
And then you're going to have to rush out and get it refinanced. But if we let you go, then you don't have the finances, you don't have the employment to obtain financing.
Wild.
So now you're between a rock, a hard place, because you could lose your employment and have your mortgage be called on, depending on what's written in the mortgage note. So very, very, very tough situation for them to be in. And the video that we watched in the opening, you saw, in my opinion, the battle that Rebecca was going through by asking these leaders during the interview about, how do you, deal with and navigate leadership that is gone left. You're set under them. How are you supposed to challenge them? And one person said, "Yeah, you leave, but you don't throw a grenade in the door while you leave." And I don't know.
How do you leave though? That is so
You can't leave right now. You can't leave because
Daystar is diabolical.
so many things are connected. So many things are connected to Daystar. Your employment is there. Your mortgage is connected to them, right? You may be using a company car. So the more things that they have you connected to them,
Yeah.
the harder it is, and the more control they have, the more leverage they have. And they're seemingly using their leverage to keep them silent and on the sidelines because they signed this NDA that prohibits them from disclosing anything that the public doesn't know. Even their even the letter that JW, and again, it's something that we thought, I was like, Weiss again?
Yeah.
But they're not related.
But that's still wild.
JW is not related to Dougie Fresh. But to have this level of control over the people that serve you, it puts you in a space where you could act a fool and not be afraid of repercussions, because if you do go against it, then guess what? You're done. You're done.
The more you learn about this, the more you realize the type of machine that Marcus built.
Oh yeah,
like this was not some
fly by
run
night.
of the mill.
It was real. And then it begs the question: okay, you're giving out these loans,
probably at a great interest rate,
but I don't know, man. I hate to say this, but it's just a question though. The people that are donating to Daystar, donating to their programming and doing all that, their partners, when they donated to further the push of the gospel, did they have that in mind in terms of being a bank?
So the way that it worked, I understand that churches and ministries, they can own other entities that operate in. So maybe they had different organizations that was in control from the ministry, but they were separate from the ministry. So maybe it was not maybe the loans were not directly from Daystar, but one of the entities that they started, like a different organization that they started, maybe was the one giving the loan.
But the funds all stem from what? Like it's great that you were able to give a church a $20 million loan, because it's really hard as a church to get traditional funding and financing.
Yeah. But as big as Gateway was, I told you, Gateway was a massive church. They would have been able to get that type of loan somewhere else. But maybe it was just the interest rate that they were able to get from Daystar.
So, I mean, yeah, that really brings up another question that we won't cover in this video. It's just like
it creates more.
When you're donating to dig wells and you're donating to spread the gospel and build churches and do all this stuff, I doubt that anybody's thinking about giving out loans. Mm-mm. I just doubt that's what they were.
But again, you're kind of conditioned as a church member or somebody who's donating to an organization just to say, hey, I'm giving this to God, and whatever y'all do with it, y'all do with it. You're not really asking all those questions. Mm-hmm. But it feels like they leverage these loans as a way of maybe control. They're not connected to the NDA, but once they propose the NDA, it's kind of hard to turn down, an NDA from somebody who has full control over
where you live, where you raising your family. That's really tough. Really tough. So now Rebecca and JW are radio silent because they have an NDA that they really can't talk about anything. And they're showing support for Jonathan could be seen as breaking the NDA. Now, an NDA doesn't allows you to report a crime. Like, I can't make somebody sign an NDA and then go on a spree and be like, hey, you can't tell nobody.
Yeah.
That's not how NDA works. The same way with essay, right? If they had evidence of an essay, they could certainly go report that to the police, and that wouldn't be protected by the NDA. Yeah. But if they go and they talk about it on their opinions about it or have reactions to it, then that would break the NDA, because now you're not doing it because a crime was committed. Now you're doing it just expressing your opinion.
But I do want to mention this before we move on in the video we're reacting to. It shows a lot of forethought from Jonathan, which shows he does. I can see why Marcus wanted him to take over, because it seemed like he understood the implications of getting a loan from Daystar and how that can create a conflict of interest. And I'm not sure if he saw all of this coming, right? But it shows he had a level of forethought. Like, if I take this loan, it limits my leverage when making decisions.
Yeah.
I respect the fact that he had that thought process and saying, you know what, I'll just get my own loan. I don't really need this. So something that shows a level of strategic forethought on his end.
And for me, to be honest, I don't know if it's forethought or it's just being the male son and wanting to strike out and be a little independent. Because
like, I'm already
the two sisters, come to daddy's company, hey, we got you, we'll get you a loan. And
I'm already
we'll hire
so
your spouse.
Connected to
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But for a son, a lot of times, we want to strike out on our independence a little bit. We want to be, you know what I mean? You want to be able to stand 10 toes down and say, nah, I may have gotten some help, but I came this way by putting in some of my own stuff. So I don't know whether it was forethought or just being a man. Like, hey, I'm gonna go and get my own loan. I don't need mama and dad to.
But if it was very necessary in the way this played out, because if he did get that loan, he'd be in a real difficult situation.
Yeah, but they moved anyways. From the reporting, they had to peace out anyways.
Yeah, but let's keep
continue.
This is a man of integrity. This is a man that Marcus believed and knew and wanted to be leading Daystar in his absence. And as soon as his body is cold in the grave, the new guys come in. The mom starts putting a tracker and a tracer and yelling all up in his face if he's not reading the celebratory emails.
Rebecca Lamb and her husband, J.W., reportedly received a massive $780,000 loan from Daystar Television Network to help them purchase their home. On the surface, it might seem like a generous gesture, but according to sources close to the family, this wasn't just a loan. It was a form of leverage. Insiders claim that Rachel Lamb Brown, Rebecca's sister, allegedly...
Wait, I got a question. What does Rachel have to do with Rebecca's loan? And how is Rachel using that to silence Rebecca? I figured it was Joni. What does Rachel have to do with it?
Bro, Rachel's trying
Rachel is the pop-off queen. Like, she is the crash dummy. Like, she will light that whole place on fire.
She does give me Cash Me Outside vibes. You remember that meme? How about that? Cash Me Outside, how about that?
Oh, now, okay, my bad. That was a dumb moment. Because Rachel and the name that starts with a P. So Rachel...
That's what's alleged. That's what people are saying. That's the streets talking.
So during Sunday brunch, Rachel's like, y'all got courage?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna check on that loan and that NDA. because y'all gonna have courage on the side of the street.
Yeah, that's really tough situation to be in. Really tough. But she does give me that catch me outside vibes. Like,
yeah,
how about that?
You know how we started off and we were like gemstones. I'm kind
to
of
the neck to the
bro. I'm kind of
degree.
rethinking that. This is way more life. This is more what's it called, Lifetime than gemstones right now. I'm sorry, I can't even. It's not even funny no more. This is just wild.
And you got to be wrestling with your conscience right now. Like, okay, I signed this NDA. I know what's being done is not right. It's not sitting right with me, but I can't say anything. And I could risk not only losing my job and my home, but fracturing from my family and then be isolated like Jonathan is isolated. I'm sure he's got people that have come around them, but something like family.
In all seriousness, bro, several people might end up in jail after this is all said and done.
I wouldn't doubt it. And that's why your boy Marcus is saying that Joni's holding off until
she knows the implications. She knows the implications.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot here. Let's just watch.
Use this financial connection as a way to keep Rebecca and JW silent. The couple was reportedly warned that if they spoke out about Pete or any internal family matters, they risked losing their home. This financial dependency created a powerful tool to control their actions and ensure their loyalty. It's worth noting that Jonathan Lamb has previously mentioned that JW was fully on their side at one point and even wrote him a letter expressing his support. However, as the situation escalated, it seems someone within the family took advantage of the benefits JW was enjoying, including the loan to silence him and Rebecca.
God gives everyone free will. You cannot force them. That's manipulation when you keep trying to push. We never wanted to control anybody to do anything. We said, make your choice before the Lord. We will go our way. And honestly, I'm really thankful. So with Becca JW, them making their choices, it's not some, they're just don't want to talk. It's a very conscious choice they've made. And I'm all about respecting choices and boundaries. Everybody will answer to God. I will answer to God. They'll answer to God. So they will stand before God someday for this choice.
Many people might argue that Daystar isn't really a church, but more of a business, a television network operating like any other media company. And honestly, that perspective would make a lot of sense. After all, Daystar operates as a Christian TV network, broadcasting content to millions of viewers worldwide. However, legally and organizationally, Daystar is actually classified as a church by the IRS. This classification gives them the same tax-exempt status and protections that traditional churches enjoy, even though their primary focus is run.
Bruh.
Yeah, we asked this question early on in the saga. Like, what trade secrets?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Marcus built a machine, bruh.
What trade secrets? Okay, the rate that you charge for people airing.
It's way. Honestly, I don't even think that's. I think that's like like an iceberg. You have like the ice on top, but it's way bigger on the bottom.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how Daystar was built. Like, this is what you see, but when you go beneath the surface, there is a level of just wild operations that are extremely lucrative, that are just, it's like underworld darkness.
Yeah. And listen, if you've stuck with us this far, please take a second, subscribe to our channel.
If you want to be a vibe.
Subscribe. I know I'm off key, okay? I already see you trying to go in the comments telling me I'm off key. I know that. But to continue.
The level of diabolicalness.
Yeah, it gets me to a point where I'm like, these folks have a grip on the folks that they need to control. And it was just Jonathan who got away because they really could control the narrative, and they've prepared to control the narrative in so many situations. And because Jonathan refused to sign the NDA, he refused to read that that comment, that email that they wanted him to read. Because of that, it now has exposed them to something that they were built to avoid. They were built to avoid this happening. And now that it's happened, going back and forth between being a church and being a business, like, I know there is such a thing as the business of church, right? But the way you're moving in and out and weaving in and out, you're just,
the fact that you can classify yourself like that shows you how our tax system is designed to be manipulated.
Oh, of course.
It's designed like pay your taxes, dude. Our tax system is designed to be manipulated.
Yeah.
Like
somebody that makes 80 grand probably pays more in taxes than somebody that makes
80 million.
Yeah. 100%.
What did what's his name? The guy who owns like the big he owns all of those stocks, like he's like the big stock dude. Why is his name? He's like one of the richest dudes in the world from like Oklahoma. Okay. You know what I'm talking about.
If I hear the name, I'll probably remember.
Not Bill. You know who I'm talking about. He's a household name. Like, just think the most he owns like Coca-Cola in stocks like that. You know what I'm talking about. He's like he's from Nebraska. No, he's not from Oklahoma. He's from Nebraska.
Buffett?
Yes, Warren Buffett. He said that my secretary pays more taxes than I do.
Bro, it's like a maze. If you know how to walk through, if you got a right map, you could.
But really you notice, and I'm not going to keep pausing this, but you notice that none of this happened until Marcus died.
Yeah, because
he knew how to control this. Joni's not built.
That's why it came from him. Look, Pete innocent. We shutting this down right now.
He understood how the game worked.
Pete innocent. We don't want to hear now. We ain't calling no cops. We ain't doing no real investigation. I just feel like Pete is innocent. Why? Because that will keep the organization functioning and looking healthy.
No one's going to check
even though
him.
There's a cancer.
Nobody's going to check Marcus. The only person that could take Marcus out is Sister Joni.
And they tried to take him out, but he went to Dr. Phil and said, if you aim for the king, you better not miss. And he ethered himself. he went and he Slim Shadied himself. He told everything about the 7 years of sin. But because he knew how to play the media game, he just knew how to navigate through these waters. Joni is trying to do it by force, but he did it by force, charisma. He had more tools in his toolbox. Authority, submission. He had more tools in his toolbox than just authority, submission, and force.
He understood how to operate in these different. Like, you really think Marcus would have to push submission so hard in those types of meetings? You know, you've lost when you have to pull that submission card over and over. It's not a sign of strength. That is your last ditch effort to control the situation. It just shows you ain't built like that. Because if you really the Don, like Marcus is the Don, he don't need he just shows up and everybody knows what to do.
Yeah, and he was well seasoned because he grew up from when
you built it from the ground up.
Yeah, you learn some things along the way.
Exactly.
And so Yeah, bro. Keep
Let's
going.
keep.
A television network. Essentially, they're functioning as both a business and a church, blending the roles in a way that raises questions about accountability, transparency, and the separation between ministry and enterprise. Daystar seems to switch between being a church and a business depending on what suits them best. When it comes to avoiding financial reporting and accountability, they act like a church. But when it's convenient, they operate like a business, especially when they pressure people into signing NDAs. But let's pause for a moment. Why would a church or a Christian organization even need an NDA? What are they trying to hide? Joni Lamb has defended the use of NDAs, saying they're meant to protect business trade secrets and can't legally be used to cover up a crime. While that's technically true, breaking an NDA can still have severe consequences. Employees who violate it might be fired and in this case even lose their homes. Joni has already set an example with Jonathan Lamb, showing exactly what happens to those who go against the system. Rebecca and JW are well aware of this and they know Joni isn't bluffing. The message is clear, speak out and you'll face serious repercussions.
At your mother's request, we called you back in here so you could time to talk to you. And we'd give you 24 hours from the time we signed this. That's roughly 2:30 to 3 o'clock tomorrow. If you can sign that, come back in to Arnold's office, sign the piece of paper, okay? Read it, be comfortable with it, and then sign the piece of paper tomorrow. You have until basically, I say 3 o'clock. That's 24 hours from the time we sign it. If you do not do that, then you are removing yourself from the board and removing yourself from your vice president position. And you are then an employee. You're still an employee. That's where we are.
It says, for the purposes of this agreement, the term confidential information means all trade secrets, okay, and other information about Daystar and its business operations that are proprietary, private, and not generally known or accessible to members of the public, media, press, or detractors of Daystar, okay? The first part of this sounds like what Joni described, that it is confidential information means all trade secrets and other information about Daystar and its business operations, okay? That's proprietary. That makes sense. Now, when it continues to say private and not generally known or accessible to members of the public, media, press, or detractors, that changed the definition a lot because that goes well beyond trade secrets and well beyond proprietary information. And it's now saying confidential information also includes anything that the public doesn't know about, the media doesn't know about, or detractors don't know about. Now, just want you to keep in mind, there's a whole lot of nefarious situations, illegal stuff that has been broken over the years because it wasn't known to the public, and then somebody talked about it and made it known to the public. So information that's not known to the public or could cause people to be detractors is not the same as trade secrets and proprietary information. So if it had stopped at just trade secrets and about information about Daystar and its business operations, this proprietary, that would have been exactly what Joni was talking about. The last part of that definition, it ballooned the broadening of it.
Daystar's broad definition of confidential information feels less about protecting legitimate trade secrets and more about silencing anyone who might speak out against them. The first part makes sense. Protecting business operations and proprietary information is reasonable. But when it expands to include anything the public, media, or detractors don't know, it crosses a line. That's not about business, it's about control. I can't help but think about what Rebecca Lamb and JW must be going through right now. According to Jonathan, they signed NDAs, which explains their sudden silence and change in stance. Those NDAs don't just stop them from talking.
Bro, listen. A couple of things I want to point out. Notice how the person trying to convince Jonathan to sign it just diminishes the importance of it. Sign a piece of paper. Sign the piece of paper. Like, yeah, you sign a piece of paper when you join the military too, putting your life on the line. Sign a piece of paper when you get married.
And remember, I remember this too. They were mad because Jonathan had a lawyer read
and
because he could tell the guy who I forgot, was it like Daystar's lawyer or something?
Yeah, he was like, I know that's lawyer speak. I was like, you trivialize it, so he will think it's no big deal and sign it, and then your whole plan was to hold it against him. Look, you gotta hush your mouth and you gotta listen, you gotta comply, and you can't say nothing. And then you write an NDA that covers so much. This is a Diddy NDA. That's the level of like, you can't say nothing about anything that's not known in the public sphere.
Listen, this whole situation just gives like and I'm even thinking about Joni and Dougie Fresh. Like, bro, this is given weird. Like, this is off the record. This is just my opinion, but like, they Joni and Doug give me swinger vibes. Like, seriously.
Yo, I'm saying that starts the end of the episode.
Yo, they give me swinger vibes, bro. Like, it just seems like there's a lot going on. This gives a lot. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, there's too many things put in place to leverage and keep control, which tells me you're keeping control
for a reason.
Exactly.
Like he said, what church needs an NDA? Like, what the heck are you doing that you need people to sign an NDA? What the heck are you doing?
And imagine going to a local congregation and you say, "Hey, I want to become," and you get offered a position on their staff somewhere, and they say all our leadership staff have to sign an NDA, and you're like, "Okay, for what? Is there a scripture that's unknown, that a revelation that is our own? Like, what am I signing an NDA for?" And it covers too many things.
And again,
and you're specific about the detractors.
If Daystar did not classify themselves as a church, we wouldn't have as big of an issue with you having people sign NDAs. As a TV network, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
It still could be sus, but I'm sure ABC, NBC, CNN, there's some level of NDA that their personalities have to sign.
Yeah.
But y'all trying to play both sides. You classify yourself as a church when it is convenient, and then you classify yourself as a business when it's convenient. And and it's the double speak. It's you and the fact that you think people are not smart enough to read what you're doing.
Yeah, because you're saying, hey, every business has an NDA, right? It's part. Right. It's normal operating procedure. Normal. You have an NDA. You keep track of your proprietary stuff, and then you turn around and in the same meeting, you talk about submission and being the voice of God for this company.
And see,
like, bro,
Jonathan,
that conversation is not happening in a business. Imagine if the CEO said, "I'm the voice of God for Amazon."
Mm-hmm.
Everybody be looking like, huh? Hey, you can't bring God into this.
Like Bill Gates, I'm the voice of God.
You know what I mean? Like, let's be
calm down.
One or the other.
And Jonathan,
at least for that conversation,
the fact that he recorded that, he's like, "Yo, I need to record this because
nobody will believe it.
No one will believe me unless they hear it."
I wouldn't have believed it. I would not have believed it because I unfortunately or fortunately, I give
ministry
leadership a little credibility until they lose it. I'm like, somebody might have been ticked off. They might not get the result that they wanted, and now they're trying to cause trouble. But this, my boy, this is not that. This is not that.
I have a big idea with this. And we were talking like an hour or so ago about moves of God.
Mm.
And I was thinking about that. And I was thinking about and I'm now rambling. I promise you it'll be short. But I was thinking about, like, I was just in Hawaii, and I saw these waves, right? And there was a lot of surfers there. Where the particular island we went to, like some of the best surfers in the world. And I was thinking, I was correlating it to moves of God. And a surfer, they can't create the wave; they simply have to ride it. Like they have to just be prepared for when it comes. And I connected that to a move of God. A move of God, we can't create it; we just see it when it comes. In my mind, in my thought, what's the move of God right now? The move of God is exposing abuse in the church. That's the move of God right now. And every ministry leader has to decide which side of that you're going to be on. Because we see, similar to, remember homegirl having to stand up. I mean, that young lady having to stand up and apologize to the church, and all these things happening, and it just seems like one thing after another, because God is using technology right now to expose darkness in the church. In fact, I might have my editor use this part, because I think this, in case nobody watches till the end, but the move of God right now is exposing this stuff, because it's happened for so long, and these types of things have been happening so frequently, uncovered, unexposed, and God is like, all right, there's technology now, and I'm going to make sure that people see it, because you have used every other lever to cover yourself and make sure that these things don't get exposed. But now we're not doing that anymore. It's coming out. And the ministry leaders who, in my opinion, the ministry leaders who are on the right side of this and call it out for what it is, they're going to be the one to experience revival. Because the churches who double down, who say no, who side, who are basically like a bunch of, I'm going to stand with this person or that person, regardless of what they do, their influence, their ministries are going to dwindle. But I think that if a ministry says, nah, man, we're going to stand with the victim, we are going to hold these people accountable, and we're going to get and support the victim getting the healing that they need. Those are the ministries that are gonna flourish in this season. That's just my opinion. I don't know that to be true, but it seems like there is a move of God right now that is exposing the darkness in these churches.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Bro, the saga continues. Let us know what you think. Let's have a conversation in the comments. Like, subscribe, share.
Be a vibe.
Subscribe.
Peace.